I have been running a mobile veterinary service in our rural county for the past 6 years, and I'm facing what feels like a calculated attack on my business from a corporate chain. Sorry for the wall of text, but I'm at my wit's end. A bit of background. I'm a fully licensed veterinarian who started this practice after noticing a gap in care for elderly and low-income pet owners. Many can't drive 45-plus minutes to a clinic, and others can't afford standard vet prices. What started as helping a neighbor's mom with her cat became a full-time operation, serving hundreds of rural families. My business model isn't making me rich, but it works for our community. I do sliding scale fees, payment plans, and sometimes accept trades when people can't pay cash, like Mrs. Johnson's jam or Mr. Rivera's vegetables. It keeps pets healthy and with their owners, which matters to me. Last year, I applied for nonprofit status to access grants and expand services to underserved areas. The paperwork was tedious, but I pushed through because I believe in this work. Everything was going fine until 3 months ago when VetCorp opened a branch in our town of 15,000. At first, I wasn't too concerned. Their customers are middle-class pet owners looking for convenience, not my elderly clients who can't leave home or the farming families I serve who live 30 minutes from paved roads. Then things got weird. First, 5 long-term clients canceled appointments in 1 week. When I called one to check on her pets, she admitted VetCorp had offered a free first visit and 50% off treatments for 6 months if she switched. That seemed aggressive, but still normal competition, though targeting fixed-income seniors felt predatory. But then it got worse. While making a house call to Mrs. Carson, she said someone from VetCorp had called and claimed mobile veterinary services aren't fully regulated and might be dangerous for her cats. That's false. I follow the same licensing standards as brick-and-mortar practices. The following week, the local pharmacy that's filled my prescriptions for years said they could no longer handle non-standard veterinary prescriptions. When I asked what regulation had changed, the pharmacist just said it was new policy. I've had to drive to the next county to get essential medications for my patients. Then came the official complaint. The state veterinary board notified me that an anonymous party filed a complaint alleging minor regulatory violations. Nothing serious enough to shut me down, but requiring immediate response and lots of documentation. The timing seemed suspicious, and it's taking hours I should spend caring for animals. I thought I was being paranoid until my medical supplier mentioned that VetCorp's regional director asked if they were selling to that mobile vet operation and was interested in what supplies I ordered. Then I realized this wasn't normal competition. It was targeted. I'm not confrontational by nature. I became a vet partly because animals are easier than people, but I decided to address this directly. I scheduled a meeting with VetCorp's local manager, hoping we could establish professional courtesy. This town is small, and the need for animal care is too great for this hostility. The manager seemed uncomfortable. When I mentioned the misleading information given to my elderly clients, she fidgeted with her pen and said, "That's not supposed to happen." She admitted the directive to establish market dominance came from their regional director, Marcus Phillips. I researched Phillips and realized his family owned a traditional veterinary practice that struggled financially after a mobile service started in their area. That practice closed, and he joined VetCorp shortly after. For him, this is personal. I've been wrestling with what to do next. Part of me thinks I should just focus on my work and ignore these tactics. Another part feels like I need to fight back somehow, though I don't have the legal budget of a national chain. During a house call last week, an elderly client who's been with me since day one was upset because her dog needed treatment she couldn't afford at VetCorp's prices, even with their discounts. She thought she might have to surrender her dog to a shelter. After I treated her dog at cost, she hugged me and said, "I don't know what people like me would do without you." That made me realize this isn't just about my livelihood, but about essential service for vulnerable people and their pets. I've decided to push back against these tactics, but I'm out of my depth. Vet school didn't prepare me for corporate warfare. I understand VetCorp has shareholders and profit margins, and I'm not trying to block legitimate competition, but spreading misinformation about safety and targeting elderly clients with scare tactics crosses ethical lines for me. If they push me out, many clients will go without veterinary care. They won't be able to afford or access VetCorp services. My nonprofit application is still pending, which complicates things. I worry fighting back might jeopardize my approval, but standing by while a corporation misleads vulnerable people feels wrong. Yesterday, I canceled 3 appointments while gathering documentation for the regulatory complaint. That's 3 animals that didn't get needed care because I needed to defend myself against what seems like a coordinated attack. I'm exhausted, angry, and a bit scared about what might come next. I'm at a loss about how to navigate this situation. Has anyone dealt with something similar, or have advice on how to protect a small business against corporate tactics like these without bankrupting myself in legal fees? Any suggestions about responding to the misinformation campaign would be especially appreciated. Now for the first update. I've been processing everyone's advice about fighting back against VetCorp and finally took action. Here's my full update on the corporate vet trying to undermine my mobile practice. I did not expect my original post to get this much attention. I've spent hours reading every comment and appreciate the support and advice. Many of you encouraged me to get the community involved and speak out, which terrified me at first, but you were right. After deliberation, I contacted our local newspaper about a story on accessible veterinary care in rural communities. I avoided mentioning VetCorp directly, focusing on the challenges rural pet owners face. The reporter interviewed several clients. The article ran last week with the headline, "Mobile Vet Service Lifeline for County's Rural Pet Owners." Mrs. Davidson said, "My service is the only reason her cat still gets medical care." Mr. Rivera said his farm dogs would never see a vet if it meant a 45-minute drive to town. I've received dozens of calls and messages of support. To answer top questions: 1. Yes, I've documented every instance of anti-competitive behavior. 2. No, I haven't received a decision on my nonprofit application yet. 3. I'm still offering sliding scale fees despite financial pressure. VetCorp responded 2 days after the article with a community care initiative. They offered free transportation for seniors and discounts for anyone over 65. I read the fine print on their transportation offer. The rides are only within city limits, require 72 hours notice, and exclude mobility devices larger than a folding walker. When Mrs. Harmon called, they said pets over 30 pounds couldn't be transported. Then came the direct mail campaign. Several clients forwarded letters claiming mobile services lack proper equipment for safe pet care and cannot maintain sterile conditions. One flyer said pets might get incomplete care. Meanwhile, I'm still dealing with a complaint to the veterinary board. I've spent nearly 20 hours gathering documentation and preparing responses. My attorney thinks we'll clear the investigation, but the timing is bad. Last Thursday, I arrived at Mrs. Carson's house for her cat's diabetes checkup to find a VetCorp representative already there offering free vaccines if she canceled her appointment with me. I introduced myself to the VetCorp vet and asked why she was there. She said regional management provides staff bonuses for converting mobile vet clients. She said I was exploiting seniors and operating with a makeshift setup. I showed her my mobile unit with digital X-ray, ultrasound, lab equipment, and surgical tools. I explained why mobile practices are recognized and regulated by the state veterinary board. Mrs. Carson asked the VetCorp representative to leave, saying she trusted me with her cat's care. Yesterday, a VetCorp corporate lawyer showed up at my home with a threat about interference with business relationships if I continue to disparage their services. I stated I've never made false claims about VetCorp, but I have a right to educate my clients about mobile veterinary care. He left a business card and suggested we could avoid escalation if I change my approach. After that encounter, I consulted a small business attorney. She suggested documenting each instance of potentially anti-competitive behavior from VetCorp. I've created an online form where clients can report misleading claims about mobile veterinary care. Within 3 days, the form has received 27 submissions. They reveal a campaign across our community. Seniors being told mobile practices aren't real veterinary care, pet owners being offered discounts to switch services, and false claims that I'm under investigation and might lose my license. This morning I learned VetCorp offered to sponsor our county's annual pet vaccination drive on the condition that mobile practices are excluded. This event reaches hundreds of animals who might otherwise never see a vet. I'm trying to stay positive, but this is a coordinated effort to push me out of business. My appointment calendar has gaps, and I've had to use personal savings to cover expenses this month. Your advice helped me fight back, and I'm not giving up. I'm meeting with the county commissioner tomorrow about VetCorp's conditional sponsorship, and my attorney is reviewing options for an unfair business practices complaint. Thank you all again for your support. Knowing I'm not alone in this fight makes a difference. Now for the second update. Update 2. I can't believe it's only been a week since my last post about VetCorp's tactics against my mobile vet practice. Thank you all for the support and advice. It's kept me going through what's become a more complicated situation. The morning after learning about VetCorp's vaccination drive condition, I went to the county commissioner's office. I didn't have an appointment, but Commissioner Wilson has known me for years. He fit me in. "Look, I understand your concerns," he said after I explained, "but VetCorp is offering $25,000 for the vaccination drive. That's 3 times our usual budget. We could reach hundreds more animals." I said that excluding mobile practices cuts off the most remote areas. He nodded, but focused on the budget papers. I left without any promises. Side note, 6 years of community service don't count much against a corporate budget. On the drive home, I was ready to give up. My savings were low, appointments were down, and fighting a national corporation felt hopeless. Then Mrs. Hernandez called about her cat's diabetes follow-up and reminded me why I started this. Mini update. I've been living on ramen and peanut butter sandwiches for 2 weeks to keep stocking medications. Several clients have noticed and keep trying to bring me food. By that afternoon, I had a new plan. If VetCorp can host a vaccination drive, I could too. I reached out to farmers whose livestock I've treated, elderly clients who've paid me with quilts and preserves, and local business owners. The response was immediate. Mr. Darby offered his farm equipment lot. The hardware store owner pledged supplies. 3 vet techs volunteered their time. By evening, we had a community pet care day planned for the Saturday before VetCorp's event. While picking up donated exam tables, I ran into Dr. Jenkins, the vet who gave me my first job. When I told him about VetCorp, he said, "Marcus Phillips is VetCorp's regional director. That can't be a coincidence." I asked how he knew Phillips. Dr. Jenkins said their practice struggled because Phillips had been siphoning funds. He discovered it too late to save the business. Armed with that information, I contacted VetCorp's national office. After an endless phone tree, I reached someone in communications. I explained the situation, provided documents, and shared Dr. Jenkins' account of their director's past. The representative said they would escalate it. The day of our event arrived. We set up 6 stations: exams, vaccinations, parasite control, nutrition counseling, grooming, and a donation area. Volunteers directed traffic and helped with paperwork. By 10 a.m., there was a long line of cars. Word had spread. We were on track to help more animals in one day than I usually see in 2 weeks. Around noon, I heard raised voices at the entrance. I checked and saw Marcus Phillips. He approached me. "You think this little stunt will work? You're undermining a legitimate business," I said. "This is community service for pets who need care." "You're just a glorified pet sitter," he said. "Mobile vets undermine professional standards." Mr. Rivera, whose cattle I've treated, spoke up. "Dr. OP saved my herd when no clinic would travel to my farm," Phillips said. "Anecdotes don't change facts. I won't let mobile vets hold me back again." Mrs. Forrester recorded him. It became a video he couldn't ignore. By evening, the video was everywhere. Phillips admitted his actions were personal, not business-driven. Our event treated 87 animals. We identified several that needed follow-up. The donation station collected enough supplies to help owners for months. I was cleaning up when I got a call from VetCorp's national compliance officer. She asked to meet about the situation with our regional director. It sounded serious. Every dinner, I rewatched Mrs. Forrester's video. Phillips says, "I don't care about the community's needs. No wonder VetCorp wants to talk." I'm trying not to get my hopes up. The pharmacy still won't fill my prescriptions, and the veterinary board investigation continues. But the community showed up, and VetCorp National is paying attention now. I'm meeting with the compliance officer tomorrow afternoon. I don't know what will happen, but your comments and support kept me going. Now for the final update. Final update on the VetCorp situation. We've reached a resolution. Thank you all for the support these past weeks. Your advice and encouragement kept me going when I thought I'd have to close my mobile practice. The meeting with VetCorp's national compliance officer happened as scheduled. I arrived at the conference room and found Teresa and a corporate attorney waiting. I briefly considered walking out, but decided to continue. They expressed concern about Phillips' POW. Teresa had reviewed Mrs. Forrester's video and other evidence. She said Phillips was on administrative leave pending an internal investigation. The attorney took notes. "We take allegations of unethical business practices very seriously," she said. "This behavior appears inconsistent with our corporate values." I kept my expression neutral. Then they offered a professional courtesy arrangement. I would refer all complex cases to their facility in exchange for them backing off. I would keep only the simplest, least profitable work. I explained that this would harm my most vulnerable clients, the elderly who couldn't drive, farm families needing on-site care, and low-income pet owners relying on sliding scale fees. The meeting ended without a resolution, though Teresa promised to address the prescription filling issue as a good faith gesture. At least Phillips was on leave. The next morning, I received an email from the State Veterinary Board. After weeks of paperwork, they found no substantive violations. They issued a minor advisory about record keeping. No significant changes were required. I focused on rebuilding relationships with clients who'd been scared away. I visited those who'd received misleading information. Mrs. Calloway nearly cried when I arrived. Her cat Muffin needed medication adjustments she couldn't afford at VetCorp's prices. During a visit to the Henderson farm, I ran into Dr. Garcia from VetCorp. She apologized and said many employees were uncomfortable with the company's tactics. Then she handed me a USB drive. You should see what they were planning next. That night, I reviewed internal memos and strategy documents. One identified my nonprofit application as threatening market dominance and outlined a campaign to reject it. Another planned exclusive contracts for municipal animal services, which would block my practice from shelter work, vaccination clinics, and emergency response. I called my attorney at 11 p.m. and emailed her the documents. She confirmed these tactics could be unfair business practices. We discussed filing a formal complaint, but she suggested one more good faith effort first. The next day, I drafted a letter to VetCorp's CEO with my attorney's guidance. I explained the importance of accessible veterinary care in rural areas and proposed collaborative approaches that would include my practice. I sent it with overnight delivery. The next afternoon, I got a call from VetCorp's CEO, Martin Reeves. He apologized for Phillips' actions. We acquired Phillips Regional Group last year, he said. It's become apparent he brought problematic practices that went undetected. He proposed a partnership. VetCorp would provide access to specialized equipment and surgical facilities, while I would continue mobile services. They would also consider supporting my nonprofit application. I told him I needed time to consult my attorney. The formal proposal arrived 2 days later. It addressed most of my concerns. My attorney suggested modifications to protect my independence, which VetCorp accepted. Within a week of signing, the local pharmacy resumed filling my prescriptions, and VetCorp withdrew their condition from the county vaccination drive. Commissioner Wilson called to confirm all qualified veterinary services would be welcome to participate. The partnership isn't perfect, and I remain cautious about their long-term intentions. My clients now have access to advanced care and personalized service. Several VetCorp vets have started volunteering for community events. VetCorp's investigation uncovered financial improprieties by Phillips, similar to those at another practice. His leave became permanent termination, and there may be legal consequences. The community response has been positive. The alternative vaccination event became a template for a quarterly program combining VetCorp's resources with my mobile services. Mr. Darby has offered his lot for these events, and attendance grows each time. Edit. Several people have asked about Mrs. Hernandez's diabetic cat. Whiskers is doing well on his adjusted insulin regimen, and Mrs. Hernandez still sends me tamales every visit. I couldn't have done this without your support and advice. When I posted originally, I was ready to give up. I never imagined we'd find a solution that improves care for the community. Standing up for what's right isn't easy, but with persistence and support, even a small practice can get a large corporation to listen.